Jorma Vuoksenmaa, ever since the 18th century, the British flat racing has been the Premier League of horse racing. But now it's 2020, everything is different, and suddenly the Swedish Trotting has become the biggest market for a while at least. Let's say in Colossus bets, in international betting exchanges everywhere, people are betting on the Swedish Trotting. So what should a person who's earlier bet a lot on the flat racing know about the Swedish Trotting?
Well, actually, there is a lot in common, and there are something which I really believe the flat racing bettor can learn from the harness racing, namely the tactics, early speed, and the importance of the draw. I respect my British betting opponents and the market forces, and a samurai never underestimates another samurai who he is fighting against. So a horse race bettor should not underestimate his opponents. But that being said, I think the English race bettors are a bit old-fashioned. They compare horse against horse in the form. They count a lot on a weight, even in a situation where the academical research shows that the weight is not that big factor. And what we do in European sports betting consultants, wherever we bet racing, harness racing or flat racing, we are time and pace orientated. So our view is pretty different compared to the view of an average British bettor. So when we think about early speed, the positions the horses will get, and the protected pace afterwards, and the probable running of race who will have to go wide in the in those courses where there is a bend, like in most of all-weather races in Britain, we end up to different probability estimates compared to the general public and racing media in Britain, who, as I said, compare horse against horse and give too much weight on the jockeys. I mean, weight then counting their probabilities. And I think that we have, to put it short, we have a fresh view on flat racing in our philosophy. And on the other hand, in harness racing, our betting strategies have gained of my experience of betting the English flat. I have actually seen a reference point to win Epsom Derby for Henry Cecil. It was something like 1988 or something, and 3 derbies afterwards, and I've been interested in researching British flat since then. And what that has given to me to think about in the harness racing is the trainer patterns, pedigrees, and a kind of class which is kind of dodgy idea. It's very hard to explain what is the class horse, what is not. But my point is that the greatest flat racing horses have more kind of charisma and ability to fight, to really react towards an opponent who is trying to pass them. So the harness bettors can learn a lot from flat racing bettors as well. It's like any science. You need to look to other science. Same happens in art. If you get vibes elsewhere, you'll get better.
So you mentioned the starting speeds. So the starts are a bit different, of course, in the flat racing and harness racing. So what should the people know about that?
Yeah, that's true. In flat racing, the pose positions and how the styles are placed have a surprisingly big effect to the results, and that is underbet, so you get good value by betting good pose positions, especially in certain race courses in Britain. There the pose positions have a big meaningful effect, but in harness racing the effect is much bigger. No wonder, because in harness racing the horses have sulkies where the drivers are sitting. So when you try to go around an opponent in the turn, you lose more meters. Everybody who had basic mathematics in school know that the circle length of a circle is 2 times the p times the r, and now the delta, how much more wide the horse must go in with sulk in the harness racing, is obviously much bigger the delta than in flat racing, where jockeys can ride just say 30 or 50 centimeters from each other, even in the corona days. So the cost of passing your opponent gets bigger in harness, right? That means that it's a big advantage if you are the one who needs to be passed instead of vice versa. If you try to remain passive and try to attack just on the stretched, then you are easily, you can get boxed behind your opponent. He can block you and take care that the other horses can get you boxed, or they can drive so slowly that it's very hard to make even one length with sulkies on the stretch. So I could talk 2 hours of tactics and game theory in the tactics of flat racing and harness racing, but to put it short, if you blindly bet good pose positions, even without knowing which horses have early speed, you increase your returns in flat racing, but you increase your returns a lot in the Swedish harness. And it's not a secret, when we create our Colossus Bet syndicates, we take the protected pace, protected possessions into consideration very, very much, and the pose positions are big.
All right, then one of the raw rules of harness racing is that if you gallop, you're out sooner or later, and
disqualified.
Yeah. Yes. So what about the big favorites there? They, of course, they can have a bad day and gallop even if they are leading by 2 or 3 lengths. How should you react on that?
Yeah, you spot one big difference between harness racing and flat racing. It's good we started to discuss about that. The favorites are more solid in flat racing because, as you said, they can't gallop or break stride. and lose their chance to win the race. In flat racing, the horses are in general better quality, more healthy and sound. The variance of even normal performances, even if the trotters don't break, stride or gallop, the variance of their performances is bigger than with the flat racing horse on the same ability level. So there is more randomness, more variance in the harness racing compared to the flat, which means that when you think about using the favorite box in your Colossus bets, betting to, say, Solvalla, Sweden, the favorite box is not that good as it quite often is in the flat racing, because the favorites and their returns are not, they don't give that much extra edge in harness racing compared to a flat racing. There is a favorite bias, don't take me wrong, the favorites are, if you bet 30 years only favorites or against the favorites, you would get better returns. You will hit more often and get better returns by betting the favorites. But the favorite bias and the edge on betting favorites is not that big in the harness compared to the flat. And you should keep that in mind then considering using the favorite box in the Colossus bets pools.
Alright, so usually in a Swedish race there are horses between from 12 to 16 each on one race. So if I want to build a coupon with a certain amount of favorites and certain amount of surprises, that's something that I personally find quite difficult. So how do you build your coupons?
Well, we use some computer techniques and algorithms, and the thing called genetic algorithms is pretty close to what we are doing. But of course, it's not any kind of license to print money. If you have bad probability estimates, the robotics just hurt you because you lose money faster with your ill-judged probability estimates. So we make some calculations and we try to balance our Colossus bets, syndicates and private bets by having enough favorites or well-backed horses in order not to pay for lines which are too improbable, which do not return enough money for us to be good value compared to the money we can win. I mean, if you take, we have lively good outsiders in say 5 races in the Colossus Split 5, but if all of them win, the total combination gets so improbable that even if you get the full guarantee or full turnover, full rollover, you don't win enough compared to the very small probability that all of those good value horses will win. So that means that game theoretically or mathematically you should include horses which are bad value as single bets to your that kind of 5 horse Colossus bets big 5 combination in order to sacrifice a bit of your expected return, but to get the difficultness degree of that 5 horse combinations inside the level there the full pot guarantee is enough. And on the other hand, if you need to avoid the over difficult combinations, you should eliminate from your coupons the too easy combinations as well. The majority of the punters try just to pick the winning line, which causes them to mechanically just try to get the most probable horses into their coupon. They think that might win, that is a big favorite. That was the pick of a racing post. So now thousands of people end up betting the very similar tickets. And even, here is the beauty, even a slightly more probable horse can raise up the value of your Colossus Bets ticket a lot if it's just slightly outside of kind of ticket which the general public or 10,000 homogeneous punters will do. You can get a great value with just a slightly more surprising horse than the, say, 4 most back horses. So if you just pick them one by one and combine them with good favorites, okay, it's you need to work a couple of minutes more by making all these coupons, but it's really worth, and it has given us big wins in many parts of the world just by creating clever coupons. I mean, you need good probability estimates, and in order to make good probability estimates, you need databases, analytics, models. You need to learn all the time. But if you can't build good tickets, and if you don't want to take the trouble of reducing your tickets to mathematically optimal way, you can't win with even with good probability estimates. And on the other hand, if you bet with good probability estimates and create the coupons with hard works and good strategies, you can win a lot in a long run.
All right, so basically it's almost a bit surprising to hear that actually building coupons is almost as important and as difficult maybe as
if not more important in the combination pools. Yeah.
So that might sound a bit scary for many of us, but luckily in Colossus Bets you are doing syndicates, and I assume that you are using there the same kind of computer-based methods in your game. Is it true?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm very proud about that. You know, the Finnish horse bettors won so much out of Swedish combination pools organized by ATG that the ATG had to change the rules. And we are my good friends, those robot guys, which won 50 million Swedish and 42 million Swedish, and won so much from the Swedish Trotting that they kind of joke that they have unlimited credit cards because it's so bureaucratical to get money out of Sweden, and that was kind of, you know, they are very good and humble guys, and that was just joking. But the fact remains that Premier League and me and my friends were second league of a Finnish robot bettors. I got that t-shirt from the very best ones, which bet 10 times more than I do and win 100 times more than I do. So anyway, back to the track. We are pretty good here in Finland to create the coupons, and even if we can't use the most advanced robot methods with Colossus, I dare to say that there are some better horse handicappers in Britain than we are yet. We are developing fast, and we are developing a very comprehensive horse racing philosophy called Nemesis, which is too long story here, but so we are getting better and better, but there are better handicappers, Matt Bisogno and those guys in Britain. But we compensate a lot, if not even get past everybody in Britain, because we use those advanced techniques of squeeze the mathematical percentages on our side with those methods. We can make another video of how we do it, but I'm proud to say that now everybody who joins my syndicate can be, in a sense, part of the legendary robot bettors with very tiny risk, with the only minimum stakes, no work needed, everything works so fluently. If you join my syndicate, you don't take any credit risk with me, because the Colossus bets pays for money to your account, and then the syndicates are pretty good thing. Another thing with syndicates, we can do cash outs. In some circumstances, again, a too long and too theoretical story to not so short video, but in certain situations I can even create extra value for you by making smart cash outs in the Swedish Trotting or in flat when the flat returns. And in all cases we manage the risk, and occasionally it's better to sacrifice some of the expected value towards the that the money can go around faster, and then we can be sure that we have money to invest to the next good rollover when we make a partial cash out.
All right, thank you, Jorma. I've been looking forward to your next syndicates.
Yeah, good luck.